Welcome to the Koori Knockout Podcast. If you're tuning in, you love your footy, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube, subscribe to our podcast. Don't miss a beat because we got Shane Nolan-Carr, we got Josh Nolan-Carr on the show today, and we got Dino back. He's still recovering from Vegas, of course, but it's good to have the boys here for a yarn. You have featured in a few of the highlight stories over the first 20-odd episodes here. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having us on here, and it's a pleasure, bro.
Now, I know you bailed me up the other day. You said you got to get me on the podcast. I've got yarns for days. I've got yarns for days.
Loves talking about football.
Hey?
Loves talking about football. And
Yeah, me and my brother, we bleed footy. So we love talking. Anyone know Joshy? He talks about the next knockout when that knockout finishes, you know? And I've always wanted to come on here and talk. I've seen everyone else come on here and tell their story, but it's time to tell ours, you know?
Well, tell us your story. Tell us a bit about yourself. Tell us where you started. Tell us how you got here.
Well, growing up in Redfern, we've lived out in Seven Hills for a couple of years, but come back and play with Blacks and Brovers, and then our big cousin over there, Dino, reached out to Mum and said that he wanted us to come play with Redfern, and he actually showed us discipline. Like, all this, I always knew I was a good footy player, but I was lazy. I partied, worried about Dubais all the time. And Dino, I remember one time, I didn't rock up the training Tuesday and Thursday. He put me in reserve grade against Harper, and I think I scored 5 tries in the first half, and I was burning, I was filthy. But then I knew he wanted to see if I was going to stay and commit or leave, so I stayed and committed, and the rest is history.
It's important to have, and I know I'm giving you a rap here, but it's important to have leaders who are able to stand up and show you the way like that, eh? Especially when you're young and not knowing the way to go yourself anyway.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Like, growing up where we grew up, like the block, our role models weren't the role models you want to succeed in footy. Like, the 2 role models I looked up to at the block were Chock and Nath. And like they weren't really around, but they were around. But there was no one really pushing us the way Dino pushed us. And he made it like clear, like, I don't care how good you are, what talent you got. If you don't come training and put the hard work in, I don't want you here.
How good was it being a part of that era when, I mean, Redfern as a club side was such a dominant side. You also won the knockout at the same time, but being such a dominant club side, how good was it being a part of that era?
I was the best. Like, there's no better feeling than winning comps, knockouts where you grew up. And not many people can say that they've done that. And we've achieved that. And we've achieved that not many people have done, like, back-to-back too. I was only 19 and 20 when that happened. I'm not even in my prime yet.
How old are you now?
29. 29 next month. I'm not 29 yet.
he's still a baby, though.
Still a baby.
But
got to fill a pub.
Yeah, and Joshy started at Moore Park even before that. So he was winning comps before he came to Redfern. But unbelievable talents. And like they talk about when I wanted him at Redfern and got him there, and Peebo was there with him as well. He's another one, Stephen Winter's car. And the talent. And these guys become the leaders. They're only kids, but they become the leaders in the team. And I know Shaney talked about I had to discipline him and teach him some things. Joshy was the same. Me and Joshy had we've had a lot of friction in our relationship over the years. Me and Josh, I've had to pull him into line, and he's got angry with me at different times. But we've always worked for what was best for him. And I believe one of the proudest things I always talk about when I was at Redfern was got Marky Hickey to play good footy and to train and be consistent, and Joshy to play his best footy there. And Josh was the leader for our team. He became the leader there at a young age. And you know, you started as a young fella at Moore Park, so
17.
Grew up around footy and winning comps and taking the A grade seriously, but also had that passion
100%
for winning and for the knockout from a young age. Because he gets excited when you talk about knockout, this fella. But it's meant a lot to you. Can you remember your early days of watching knockouts and who were the players you saw and what were the teams you saw and who would you go there with?
Like I used to see Robbie John in that. I wanted to be like Robbie John in that, you know what I mean? Be an intimidator, be that guy, you know? I was only small, I'm only a small forward, so I thought, like, I got to match it with all these big fellas, you know what I mean? So he was more of the guys that, like him, Dino, yourself, Georgie. You know, use more of the guys that I wanted to.
Pom.
Like, you know, even Pom. Pom was a hard man. You know what I mean? And just like a lot of older fellas like that. Like I grew up watching that, and that's why I want to see players like these days. It's like I still like that old school mentality. You know what I mean? Where it's just go out there and just kill each other. Like,
Bro, I remember,
you know what I mean?
I remember one knockout. Dino busted his ass, and then him and Josh were interchanging each other. Josh comes on and hits Richie Roberts around the head. And then Dino's like, bro, get him off.
the cat off.
And then Dino had to go back on, plays again, and then comes off and puts Josh back on, thinking Josh cooled down. Josh hits freaking Bennett Leslie, tries to kill Bennett Leslie. And then Dino's like, no.
I called him everything. Because we had a rule, like, and it was the discipline was most important because, like, and Joshy was the leader of them, but they were fiery boys, you know. And we had a team that we get a bit of fire in them, which you want. You want that.
Yeah.
You want competitive. One thing I love about Joshy is he never thinks that anyone's going to beat him. No matter if it's local comp, if it's knockout, he's got that attitude of, I'm not going to be beaten. I can win this. I can win everything. No one's going to. And I wanted that in my team. So that's why I had him as a leader in the team. But the discipline, because he's got to keep that balance with your discipline, but your fire and aggression is so important to us as a game. And we got that. Hey, Joshy, we went
100%.
full seasons with getting the best football out of him. And this bloke, tearing people apart with his strong running and his strong defence and his competitiveness in the side lifted the team to another level. And we got there with him. And then we get in this knockout game against the Yowies and he's too fiery. He's too worked up. He's too on edge. And he gave away a couple of penalties. And my rule was, if you give a penalty away, you're straight off the field. But he was my replacement, so he'd go on. And then the second time he did it with Bennett, and he walked off the field. As I called him off, I called him everything as he was going. I said, "You selfish," whatever it was. I was giving it to him, but I needed that fire, and I needed him to realise. And it was the small lessons that I think the work with these guys to bring their best football out of them. And you know what footballers we got, and what moments they got to live and got to enjoy with their home community while they're playing with Redfern. And that's the stuff I loved. And we worked hard. Like we believed in that Redfern team that we were going to be the hardest training team out of any team at the knockout. We believed, look, we played against Coogee Wombats in this competition. It was super fit, always super well prepared. But we always believed we were the fittest team and we trained harder than any team in the knockout. We had to do some hard lessons over the times. And I remember we trained in the rain. The field was flooded at Alex Park, and we still trained in the rain. Like we
did it now, and we're doing it here.
Yeah, there's a couple of war stories from Armidale that I tell to the boys.
I swear half the stories weren't true. He just wanted us.
He's just trying to do you something.
I tell you what, they're that competitive, these two, that if I did tell them a story that Narwin did this session twice, or Narwin trained for 2 hours prepared, they'd be like, all right, well, we're not gonna let Narwin overdo it. So they would just take that thing of, right, we just got to get stuff done, and it's just a good attitude to have in a team where people are just going, we'll work to do what it needs to be done now. And we'll get to the moment later with Shaney Boy with kicking, because there's so many people that talk about that moment as one of their favourite moments in the knockout. But in that lead up throughout that season, Georgie, I don't think Shane missed any goals in probably the last 6 or 7 weeks of the comp. But, and Josh, you would have seen this, he was down there for an hour before training, practicing goal kicking from all over the field, just relentlessly practicing all the time. He just always take the practice so serious. When we do extras at the end, Shane grabs a football, starts kicking goals. His kickoffs, his goal kicking were always pinpoint perfect for everything that we did. And that won us a competition off the back of his goal kicking. So when the decision come to kick that goal over there, like I just scanned the field straight away looking for him. And we might as well talk through it now while we started. Yeah. And look, it was crazy because I put this down to 2 things. It was one of my favourite ever plays in the knockout. Josh Addo-Carr, a winger, coming into the middle and thinking, with the game's lost and the game's over.
Newcastle were already running onto the field.
He's competitive. He's competitive nature. And I remember Jason Taylor rang me after that knockout and said, tell me about Josh Addo-Carr. We're thinking of recruiting him to West Tigers. What type of player is he? I said, mate, I've seen him. He's a winger. And I just said, I just want to tell you about one play. It's the game's over. They've got the ball. They're coming out of their own end. We're defeated. This winger runs in, grabs the ball. Not only because he doesn't grab it at halfway, he grabs it. We're 6 metres back in our own half where he sort of gets it, and he just crawls and fights to get over halfway, and he ends up probably a metre over the halfway line. He fought for that extra metre when the game's over. Like nothing's happening, the game's over, and he gets the penalty. He fights for the penalty. That don't happen. No winger does that. And no winger's coming in the middle and doing that. So I just told JT, that's how competitive this guy is. This is how tough he is, and this is how much he wants to play and much he wants to win. He's trying to win when the game's over. And then when we got the penalty, Kirill Phillips is standing next to me. He goes, go for two. Where's Shane? And you know, the knockout, you don't know who's on the field because there's replacements getting done all the time.
Yeah.
And I just went looking straight to the left, and then I couldn't see him, and then I looked to the right, and Shaney boy was there, and I said, yeah, we're going for two. I just had no other, because people thinking, kick for touch, put a bomb up, go for a try, whatever you want to do. But I just thought, no, we're going for two. He's going to kick it. And then Nath Merritt walked up to me at the time, and he goes, bro, you want me to take it? And we all know how classy Nath is and how much a big moment is for him. But I knew, mate, I'd seen it at training. I'd seen the practice that he put in, and I knew how much the competitiveness that these two got in them as young footballers, that he was going to take that moment and he's going to make the most of it, or he's going to fight Josh on the way home. So, you know, he's got the goal done, and it was one of the best things I sort of ever been able to experience. I stood right behind him when he kicked it. I wanted to see. I want to know early. I knew, look, my connection and my relationship with the NAB boys and stuff like that. I want to know early. Are they winning? Is this a draw, or they won it? And so, and I just watched it and just went, and it was one of the best moments I've ever had on a football field, watching that goal and how it curled and went over. And
it's 50 metres out. It's off centre. It's not an easy kick. What was it like for you at that moment?
I just blocked everything. Yeah, the only thing that was on the back of my mind was the year before I missed.
I was just about to talk about that.
We versed Koori and that, and it was 18-all down Wollongong, and I missed it from 50. It just went under the post.
It just went under it.
And I was thinking, I'm not letting that happen twice. So, and like Dino said, I remember when Nath ran over, and I looked at Dino and I said, "No, I would miss the goal this whole knockout. Why would I give it to someone else? No disrespect to Nath, but I wasn't letting no one take it. I didn't even care if Marky Boy was on the field. I wouldn't have let him take it.
What did it feel like when you hit it?
I just had this goosebumps go down me.
Did you know?
If you see me jump, you see it. Oh, it's funny, bro. If you watch the video, I'm running and I'm jumping up like I've just won the knockout. Like,
did you know when you hit it, when you kicked it, that it was going over?
Yeah.
It felt that good.
Yeah.
It felt.
I just went dead straight, sort of curved around.
I've seen it that many times. I'm sick of seeing it. Joshy, we're sick of it, aren't we? But you can see him even in his preparation that competitiveness is coming through, and he's building himself up for the kick. Like he's actually getting aggressive with the how I'm going to kick this and what it is, because it's going to take everything he's got, I think, to kick it that far and to get it. But he's still composing himself. I love it, just the watch how he's going through it, and he's showing the confidence and the belief he's got, but then also the moments there, and they put it in slow motion, and you see it, and you see him watching it, and it is. And Brad Cook talked about it, how he nailed the call, right, and Owen Craigie's reaction too, and it was beautiful. And I still say it was my play of the knockout. In all the years I've watched knockout football and been involved in football, was the Fox stealing that ball, and then obviously Shane kicking the goal after. The two
I
best
just want to
players
say one thing too. Big shout out to Owen Craigie for writing us off that year too.
He remembers everything. He remembers everything.
I remember that
Looks
because
like he's going back to Newcastle.
NAB slapped Lapa 30-0 in the first semi, and we hadn't even played. And someone come down and told us, hey, remember, they go, Owen Craigie just said it looks like it's going back to Newcastle. So that's before we even played. And then I think that's why Josh wanted to kill someone on the field, because if it wasn't Owen Craigie on the field, someone else was getting it, you know. And then, but coming back to the thing, the kick, Raz, you see me talking when I'm walking, and Scotty Briggs going, right, you're going to miss it. I said, mate, I haven't missed a kick. You've missed two. That's how confident I was I was going to get this. Like I already knew that I was going to get it.
It was a cool moment. One of the best moments in knockout history, I reckon, because I was in the crowd too. I was in the crowd, and it was a huge moment. Like I said, I saw the whole Newcastle All Blacks bench run onto the field. They thought they had it won. And then you changed that moment, and then just go on to score the win and try and actually take it away from them. So it was, it was a massive kick, massive moment for you too.
Even most of our fans left at half time, bro. Like straight out, they all knew about it on their way home from Dubbo. Oh. And it's like thinking,
the best thing
Did
was
anyone
we
turn
had our
around
own-
and come
we
back
had
to
our own
celebrate or what?
We had
We
our
didn't
own
even
belief that we
celebrate.
could win. We didn't need anyone else to believe in us. We believed in ourselves. You know, when Shaney Boy kicked it, and I seen all their heads go down, I was like, we got him now. Now the tables are turned. You know what I mean? So it was a good moment. Once he kicked it, I seen the heads just, the whole team, we're all jumping up and down. We had all the energy. So the tide shifted and the rest is history.
We talked a bit about it in the past about how good that team actually was with the back five that you've had. Now, for you playing in the forwards, what position were you playing then?
5'8".
Playing 5'8".
Number 7. Actually, number 7 wouldn't fit me. So
Chuck the 6 on. Yeah, but for you, it's like coming off the back of that back five that were getting a set started for you across that whole weekend, how much easier was it for you to play off the back of?
That was massive. Like Jono's runs coming out like 20 metres, 30 metres every time he ran it. It was massive for us. It made us forward, so when we had to come back, we didn't have to go back so far. You know what I mean? Like him, Eli, Fox, like, you know, them fellas, they got our sets rolling and it made it so much easier for us. But it was actually really
two players that never get the recognition in that knockout is Jimmy Widders and Peebo.
Yeah.
The amount of work they done in that middle, bro, like especially
Jimmy was
Jimmy,
massive.
he was unstoppable. I thought he was going to get player of the knockout that year. He was untouchable.
Who ended up getting it?
Rocky Walker.
and
He deserved it.
Our whole forward pack could have went to anyone. Like that's how big it was. Like everyone talks about the back five, but like I was saying to Joshy earlier, like the team we had, there was like 15 of us that were under 22. The rest were, and then we fed off like the older fellas that come in and like Wesy P. He's just that one person in your ear that just G's up. Like just before that kick, I was looking to come off. I was muddled, and he goes, bro, it was like he had like some deja vu. He goes, bro, you're gonna win us this game. Stay on. And I was looking to come off. I was muddled.
The Vortex.
The Vortex.
But no, we had a good crew around them. You know, you got Shane Phillips there. You got Wes. We had Luke Freudenstein. The policeman from Redfern who just backed our team and would come to knockouts and do everything with us. So that good crew there, and then I think that just the training that we did leading into it gave us the confidence. We trained hard to just win the comp. Like we knew we had to be fit, and we sacrificed so much, and there were so many lessons that we had to learn as a group along the way. And there were tough times. Like I made these boys play with 9 players one time against Mascot, and Shani Boy was one of them. And we even did Malcolm's for the warm up that day because I was so pissed off at them because a lot of them missed training. I think it was because it was an Anzac Day or something was on, and players wanted to go and do that instead of coming to training, and we were missing them. So we only had 9 at training. So we said, well, we'll play with 9. The rest of us will sit there and watch. And we had to do Malcolm's to warm up in their T-shirts. So they're filthy. But just these little lessons that I know the boys learn along the way. And it was a team that everyone was fully committed, Like whether it was our worst player or when I say our worst player, our worst committed player who wouldn't usually take short because they all committed. Everyone gave 100%. And we trained hard leading into that knockout. We'd doing hills over at Sydney University and running over there and doing all sorts of things. And it was a team that I knew was going to be super fit and going to challenge anyone out there.
In that that game there that you talked about where you made 9 of them play, the others weren't allowed to play, were you both in the side then?
Yeah.
And you were in the good 9?
Yeah.
The
They were the good
well-behaved
9.
I'll rock
Were
up.
you in the well-behaved 9 or the...
I can't remember.
He would have been there. Josh, one thing with Josh and Shane, particularly over them Redfern years, they don't miss training. They're the ones there leading the way. They're driving it. These boys do extras. They're in the gym. They're taking 7 or 8 of the boys with them. You know, so they worked hard. They committed. They're all in. It was just a crew that it was early on, and they just needed. They thought that we're not going to train after. I don't know if it was Anzac Day or it was some day where people drink and stuff.
It was Anzac Day.
And they thought there'd be no train on after it, but I don't roll that way, you know. I don't care about what's on. We've got to still get the job done and help ourselves win. So It was committed, and it was just a simple lesson, and a lot of people talk about in Redfern, but it set the tone for everything that we're here for. You know, it's the hard work came first in everything that we did, and when it come to that hard work, these are two of the players that were first there to do it all the time.
Now, he's been around the knockout for a number of years now. Who are some of the players that you have enjoyed watching over the years and some of the great memories from the knockout over those years?
Richie Williams will be up there.
From
Good footballer.
like us playing or even
Even before, yeah.
You played with Nolan as a young kid, didn't you, up there in Armour?
I did actually.
Yeah,
I had one year out front row. All skinny as too. I ended up getting left up there for 2 weeks too. I missed the bus back and everything.
Does a knockout when you
when you won it, 09, yeah.
Right.
Nah, Dino and Dennis, 100%. Like,
Yeah, Uncle Dennis.
their
Dennis
leadership,
Dennis
not
was a beast.
saying that no one's never had good sides, but
Benny Barber.
they've had good
I
sides.
love
But
watching Benny Barber. As much as I want to get him, I love watching
Oh,
him.
yeah. He's hard to get hold of.
I know.
Very hard to get hold of.
I don't know. It's not.
What about Redfern boys? Who can you think of back in the days, in the early days, watching football?
Where's he P?
Wes playing for Redfern
Wesy,
Memorial
yeah.
Sites.
there's Wes, you've got
Wes.
Naif,
Naif Merritt. Mez is always
the
been-
Robbo twins.
The Robbos,
yeah.
yeah.
7 knockout wins. Can't go like
They got 7, the boys.
they got 7. They got the 4 with the Memorial, 2 of us, and 1 with the Elwies.
Yeah.
Naif's got
Yeah, some
7.
of those fellas. Robbie John, again, love watching him.
Yeah.
I remember when I played
Wow,
next
that-
to him, I played next to him, and this one of the big island lads ran straight at him. They were calling each other around, and he ran straight at him, and I swear to God, it was like a baseball bat hitting him across the chest.
Oh.
Might have been a bit higher than the
That
chest.
was Tony Williams' brother.
Bang! Straight across the park.
Could you oval?
He was right next to me. And I,
You can imagine my stress levels with Robbie, John, and Joshy in the same team. And Joshy said he got him across the chest. It might have been just a little bit above the chest. But
It looked across the chest.
Play on. What Joshy calls the chest.
yeah. It
Nah,
was
but
close enough.
bro, one of the best knockout I ever watched one year was Vander. When he was 17.
Vander was a freak, eh? A freak
Before
young player.
before he had his Achilles injury,
Yeah.
bro, he was I'm biased, he's my cousin, but he was untouchable.
That year he was. Especially as he was 16, 17? No, he was 16. Was he 16, 17?
After Waterloo team, I think just got off the drink just before the knockout. Like I'm telling you, they were probably at the IGA drinking. I'm like, bro, I'm telling you, that the team that they had shouldn't have went to the Monday, but from the back of him, he carried that team, and I can only just lost to Yearleys.
What about you, Joshy? What's your first knockout? Tell us about the first year you played.
What?
Played in the men's.
Men's? That was Woy too. I played RAB 2s, jumped on, and we got slapped. I can't remember when we got beat, but we got slapped first round. I was 15 then. And then after that, I think the next year I ended up playing with Dungutty. I played with Dungutty, and then we actually went all right. We were playing Griffith to get into the Monday. And I remember talking about Robbie John. I remember I was playing on the wing, and I scooted it, and who was in front of me? Robbie John. And I seen his arm cocked back, and I just went straight under it. And I went straight under it, and I was thinking, fuck, I'm not letting him hit me. He'll knock me clean out, you know.
That's how everyone
we should-
do.
That's what they think when they go.
Well, I had to learn off the best, bro, you know. We almost beat Griffith to get into the Monday. We had a rake-up side. We literally had a rake-up side. We all come together on the day, and we went good. Kicks was with us. Kieran Vale, he killed it.
Was this out of Bathurst, was it?
Nah, this was at
Raymond Terrace.
Raymond
Raymond
Terrace.
Terrace.
Raymond Terrace.
2013.
2012.
12, yeah.
I didn't play 2013.
Raminda won.
Yep.
I didn't play 2013, and then 2014 played with Waterloo. We got beat by NAB. Should have beat them. Boys didn't want to pass the balls. I'm not going to name who, but
Not me.
I'm not going to name.
He doesn't
who,
hold
but
grudges, this fella, does he? He remembers everything. He remembers everything.
There was that one, and then the next year we ended up going back to Blacks, and it just felt right going back to Blacks. You know, it felt right going back to Blacks, where we're from. I always wanted to win a knockout from Redfern, like, you know what I mean, playing with Redfern, and got to do it twice, and yeah.
How'd that feel?
First one was mad. The second one was more just like no disrespect to anyone, but that next year, no one really come close to us.
He's had
you
a
know?
good run. You had
No
a
one
good
came
draw.
close to us. We should, Larper, we tapped Larper up. They thought they were going to beat us. We ended up beating them. Brad Cook, that was for you.
No one wins those hard draws, eh?
And then we ended up coming up against the team we beat in the grand final the year before, and we just ran away with it. The next year we were just on another level of fitness. Like we wanted it more than even the first year, and it was
The
a good
confidence.
feeling. We were just confident. We were calling it. We were saying we're going back to back. No one believed us, and that was driving
hard
us
to
more
do.
and more in the gym. You used to know yourself going back to back, but that just drove us more and more in the gym. As young fellas, everyone doubting us.
You have, a
fuels
look,
us.
you have a look at the video of the players, then they're super fit. Like, I think it's one of the fittest teams going to the knockout. I know how hard they all trained. And I remember just before the final going over, because my dad obviously involved in NAB, and I went and saw their players. Because the year before, in between the semi-final, which we played Yowies, which is a tough game and we had to be right up for, but we had to sit on the hill, and it was that hot on that hill at Dubbo. It completely took it out of us, and we never really got going in the final. We just couldn't get into a step, we couldn't get going, and no momentum. We just sort of chipped away and just sort of stayed in touch the whole game, and then got that moment at the end. And then once we got a sniff, we knew that we'd blow. The next year, it was just fit, too fast, too fresh and everything, too organised, and just ran teams off the park. And then when that final was about to be played, I went and see my dad, who was in the NAB tent, and I could see their players were like we were the year before. They were wiped out. We were sitting up in the top of the bloody Leichhardt
The
grandstand in the aircon, they're fresh. And I was because I didn't play, I was coaching the boys, and I just went, the fitness is, we're just going to blow these fellas off the park. And
that was a hot weekend I remember that.
And they not flogged NAB, but it was this one-way game.
Call it what it is, bro.
One-way game, and
12.
I knew it was going to happen before the game, because my dad's there talking to me, and he's they're a bit busted, they're a bit sore, a bit tired, and I was just looking around and laying around and trying to sleep in his son, and I was like, well, I know they haven't got the fitness that these other boys have got. And then I walked up and I could see how fresh everyone was. I was like, this is going to be annihilation here. They're going to run all over them. And they did. They just looked faster, looked fitter. And NAB is always a fit, strong team too. So it was a big one.
That's a big one for you. Now you're rolling into 24, 25, 23, 24, 25. New team, new look. Tell us about Sydney All Blacks.
Still
Can I say first that I wish they'd come back to Redfern All Blacks and get it? But tell us about Sydney All Blacks.
We just thought we'd go and try our own thing. You know what I mean? I don't want to really get too much into all the other stuff. I don't want to talk.
A lot of people from outside let us down, I think, at that Redfern.
That we feel in that Redfern, like within that community, like Redfern, think we could have won a lot more knockouts, but other things, kind of broke us apart. And then we thought, you know what, we'll make our own side and, just keep it for the players, so the players and everyone gets looked after, And we've had like the last 2 years, we've had a couple of bad runs, We had, obviously the incident with Whack, and, we had that incident. And then the next year we come back and we had a lot of boys pull out and,
You limped into last year, didn't you, a little bit?
We had about six or seven good players that were meant to play with us that pulled out, and no excuses. We should have still done the job, against Campbelltown, but they had a good side. They wanted it more, and it is what it is. This year, but it's different. I want Campbelltown first round.
Here he is, the competitor again. Look, he's getting stirred up.
Only one team I want to play first game.
Ooh.
Whack.
You want us back?
I want Whack, bruh.
I'll be honest.
I always love testing one. Like Dino said, that competitive. I'll sit at the draw. I was sitting at the draw, and when they pulled out War, I thought it was War's first side, and I was thinking, mad. Then it was the veterans, but that was Gugas.
That was Gugas.
That was the whole Gugas side. Everyone talks about how that was a hard game.
Yeah,
they were rough. They were rough,
Yeah.
But everyone always talks about this and that. But I want to verse Whack and Yowies and all that first game, because they'll see when both 25s are at their best.
100%.
Because you get to that grand final and you probably got 20 players, really.
Yeah. You never have your best squad once you come to the grand final, but how cool is a draw night? Like, I reckon in the last few years, that moment where we drew each other was probably one of the most tense, exciting moments leading into a knockout in a knockout draw, because I mean, leading up to it, there'd been so much talk about this Sydney All Blacks team, and like, we're always competitive. We'll turn up and give our best, and we're there to try and win. But there was so much talk about Sydney All Blacks leading up to it. You've had a great squad. You've had a very, very cool gear. You know, what else is it was like you had like Puma or someone too, didn't you? You had the maddest.
I think they were taking out social media ads and everything at one stage there, and
it felt like you was with JD Sports there at one stage. It was that, like, you looked flash. You were looking the goods leading into it. Plus, you had an unbelievable team.
Yeah.
Unbelievable team, and I think that moment when it was drawn out, I think it was one of the coolest, exciting moments.
I got G'd up.
Yeah, 100%.
You heard the crowd on the. They were like, ooh, like, you know.
Yeah, it got the biggest.
And then all over Facebook, everyone was just talking about that one game.
Yeah.
One regret I have is not playing that game.
Yeah.
Well, I've never seen a crowd like that at a first round game ever.
Yeah, it was 12 deep. 12 deep on the sideline.
There was no one even on the other field.
I don't think there was anyone watching any other games.
Yeah,
It was crazy. I've seen people sitting up on poles and everything watching us.
Oh,
You know,
unbelievable.
It was crazy. It was crazy. That was more like a grand final. I wish the grand finals were like that.
Yeah, but it's hard when you get through to the grand final, though, eh? Like,
Yeah, 100%.
But these days, I go to the knockout to watch games like that.
100%.
I don't want to go and watch some team get slapped by 50 points.
Nah.
I want to rock up and watch the best play the best. Like, use that that draw, use that off his head.
Yeah.
It was a tough draw.
Yeah.
If we would have got through, we would have had a tough draw. Like, you know what I mean? So it was.
And I wrote it straight after. I said, you just set the benchmark by doing what you've done in that draw, and coming out on top of that. Like, it just showed, like Dino said to Brad earlier, the fittest team's going to win the knockout, and you showed you had the fittest side.
Yeah.
And
what's the lessons you have learnt there? The 2 years in a row, and out first game and then out second game with a team that should win them games and should perform better. What are the lessons you learn? Because I always say you either win or you learn, right? You don't lose. You got to make sure you take it in. You got to look at yourself in the mirror and learn lessons. What are the key lessons you learn?
Don't get involved in social media.
That's a good one, because when George said everyone was talking, it was a lot of your own guys were doing all the talking.
Oh, man,
it was your own people doing the talking about it.
There was a bit of stuff going on, you know, and going into the games emotionally,
Overcharged.
Overcharged probably cost us, you know, and just little things like that, you know, like don't go into the games like, you know, with that bearing in my mind, you know what I mean? Just go in there, let's go in, do the job, you know what I mean, win the game. No bullshit, none of that shit anymore, you know what I mean? We don't need to do that, you know. We can beat teams without that, and I know that we can beat teams without that, you know. And
that's a good lesson, George, because there's a lot of players out there, knockout players, young boys that come in, they want to be tough, right? They want to try and hit people, they want to be aggressive, they think it's all about aggression and playing over the top to the rules. But the discipline's the key component of it. And Joshy, over the years, has been a player that's rode that line. And one of my things training with him and playing with him and coaching him was always to keep his focus on the things that were going to win us the football game. You know, his work, because he's very talented. He's got a great quick play the ball. He runs the ball well. He's aggressive in defence, and he offers a lot of positivity to the team when he's in the right mode. So keeping that focus right and making sure you don't ball over the line. And one of the key things is if there is a lot of talk on social media going into games, and I've seen a lot of teams at the knockout talking about who's in their team and talking about all this sort of stuff here, like, that don't help you when you're running the ball. It doesn't help you.
Nah.
When you're thinking there's a lot of hype about who's got money, who's got recruited and all this sort of stuff. And I used to like, and you talked about Dennis Moore, and one of the favourite things I used to love about him at the knockout was he just sit there and he goes, well, it's not going to help him when he runs the ball that he's staying in the Mad Motel. It's not going to, when there's 6 NRL players in the one side, they can't all run it at once. So
that's right.
Just don't worry about it. Just worry about us and our discipline and all this. And I'm glad that you learned that lesson. What are some of the other things you learn in your journey?
Definitely the preparation. like the 6 to 8 weeks out from comp to knockout, you should have at least 20 players there putting in the hard work. Like, we had like 11 players and people were saying, oh yeah, they're coming and they're not coming. Like, it was just that preparation that led into it, and that you could see like on the field it let us down a lot. And like, and then attitude as well. Like, I was sitting there telling the boys before the war game, no one go out here and do nothing stupid. First tackle I stung someone around the head.
And he's giving away the penalties, not me.
Actually, you were good last year.
I was very good.
I don't think you gave away a penalty.
That was the
I
best
was on
I've
my
seen
best
Josh
behaviour.
play.
Yeah, I thought you were good.
And yeah, definitely attitude and preparation. And just what I've noticed, the teams that lose are the ones that worry about
Who's on the other
all the
side?
other stuff. The behind the scene. Let your comedian that do that. And the whole 25 have to sit there and worry about the game and what they got to do. And one thing I'll look at it like, yeah, your bench has to be as good as your starting team. Like, your bench should be able to start in other teams. Like,
That's
if
right.
they can't. And I think that's what we had at Redfern. Like, we had Kyle Mundine on the bench.
Yeah.
One of the best footy players I've seen play footy. Marky boy. He
was
had
on the
recent
bench.
travel on the bench. They didn't even start most of the games until we come up against you. They didn't even start. Then Reece comes on and scores his try against
One of the best tries I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's a freak. He's a
Bump,
freak.
bump, 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 see you later. Turns old mate inside and out and then scores under the post.
How hard does it come for you come knockout time? You got Sydney All Blacks, you got Redfern All Blacks.
They'll have
you got
Redfern
Waterloo
All Blacks
Storm.
on their back this year too, and
What?
everyone tormenting them.
How hard is it getting together, like to pick where you go? Because Sydney All Blacks, Redfern All Blacks, Waterloo Storm, all very closely linked. How hard is it when it comes knockout time?
It's tough.
It's tough.
'Cause, like,
and
there's a lot of fellas that you want to bring on, and then like they got their families tied into this team, and this team and that team, and it does become tough. But I don't know, we just got to get through it and just make sure our cores remain tight, and the players that we do bring in just understand their jobs. You know what I mean? Like it's hard. It is hard. You know, you got a lot of young fellas there that we want to bring in, but they're playing, these fellas or, Redfern or whatever, you know what I mean? And they want to stick with their mates and stuff,
Because you got the South Sydney comp happening at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Don't you? You've got Rovers, you got All Blacks.
Yeah.
It's a challenge there because they've all got a Redfern All Black story. In Waterloo Storm, you talk to Willie G and the boys that run that, they got a Redfern All Black story, right? Their dads, as young kids, they played at RAB, and that's one of the things I know that the Blacks to try and create in the club was connect to your family story. Like, these boys play for Blacks because their mum, like their mum played for Blacks. Like, it's in their family, it's in their DNA. They watched it as young kids, and everyone's got that story. Even and we've heard people talking in the past. Even country people have got that Redfern All Black story. Like, even me, my uncle played for Redfern All Blacks in 1973 and won grand finals. Every time Redfern All Blacks have won a grand final in the A grade comp, there's always been a Widders in the team. So we had that long connection. We're now and blue and gold as anything, but still got that strong connection there. And I know there's a lot of in the community that share it. Like you said, you got the Rovers. You had Moore Park back in the days that a lot of the boys played and looked after the boys playing in the competition. You got a few sides that they all play. We've got the Glebe connections there too in Redfern. So there's always come knockout time. It's a tough little situation. But one thing I see in the community, and everyone talks about the Newcastle communities and how strong they are at the knockout, and everyone talks about Lapa. Redfern's got to be the same. Whatever team it is that goes there, whether it's Sydney All Blacks, whether it's Waterloo, whether it's Redfern, whoever it is representing it, they've got to be strong and they've got to be right in there because they've got all the advantages. Like you said, George, earlier, that they can train together all the way through it. They can play together in comp all the way. Take advantage of that. Like, that's why I always felt so passionate about the Blacks, is because we've got an advantage here, boys, if we want to use it. We play together all year. We train together all year. We're learning and growing as players. We understand each other more than anything and how we deal with pressure. That's our big advantage when we go to the knockout, because none of the teams had that. And when we played out at Dubbo and at Leichhardt in the knockouts, I knew that the Yowies and NAB didn't have the advantage that we had of we've done this all year together. Like, we know what it takes, and we've trained hard all the way through. We haven't skipped a session from start of the season in March all the way through. 2 years.
Solid team. Robbie Ryan over here.
Robbie's
some
get the
inputs here
camera on
too.
him there, piping in from the side.
No, but going into that, like, you see when we all do come together, we're hard to beat.
Very.
Like,
Very.
when we're all in that same mindset, like, and that's why this year, me and Josh have trained out. Like, I've lost 30 kilos to get to what I'm at right now, and Josh went to Thailand for 3 years.
Show us the rig there, because we know what you're doing over there. Show, give us a look
And
at
it's,
it.
and it's actually,
keep that a
it's
secret.
becoming a domino effect. Like, you see all these young fellas doing all that training. And, well, I was talking to one of the boys the other day, and they were saying it's what me and Josh have been doing, is push them to go do that too. And I feel one day we could all get back together. Just there's a lot of egos in a lot of sides, and the young fellas that are in other sides, their mums and dads tell them, nah, you can't go play here, you can't go play there. I want you to play here. So they get stuck in trying to not disrespect their parents, stay at that team. Where you got like players like Logan Aldridge, freak. But like, if we all come together, it could be hard to beat again.
I also think that it's hard because there's so much talent though too.
Yeah.
So across them three teams, you can almost all have a second team. I know Waterloo has a second team, Redfern has a second team, because there's so much talent in the area and in such a small area. So I can understand the need for having multiple teams, but again, I understand that it's hard to pick which way you go to because of family or friends or whoever it might be. Because if you're pretty close to, like, I know Peebo's one fella that you've talked a little bit about. I know you're going to try and get him on here too, because you've got plenty of yarns about him. You've
He'd
played
muck
together
up whatever
the
he's
whole
going to
time.
say. He wouldn't know what to say.
I thought about it, and he stutters too much, bro. And,
He does his talking on the field, Peebo.
Yeah.
that's it.
That's one thing. He was
Well and
captain of
truly
our
does it.
team.
He's all
I've
action.
always said I'm the most biased person, bro, but he's the best lock in the knockout.
He's good.
You see, and this is the thing at Redfern, and there's a like, it was a talented group of young players, and I seen that, right? These boys are young kids coming through at Redfern, and there was a number of others there with them. But there's also at Redfern right now, there's a talented group of young boys that are coming through that haven't played for Redfern or played together in a knockout. They go all sorts of places now. Tweed, Bayougal gets in there and gets a few of them, and they're separated around all different teams. If you go to Moree and play, and it's and if they ever get it back together and they get it strong, I tell you what, they'll be a force. But it's hard because there is a community there that's got a lot of politics, and a lot of people come and want to get involved and tear it apart from outside. Playing group's got no problem. Like, the boys all get on. They all love each other. They're all passionate about playing together. There's just so many other contributing factors in a small community. And it does, George, because there's a lot of good players there. It's going to be one of them communities that's hard to pull together.
Tell us some of your yarns about some of the boys that you. I mean, I know you're close with Foxy too. You have had some great knockout experiences over the years.
Bruh, 2015, we stayed at this sport and rec centre at Lake Burradong, and bruh, it was freezing. They didn't tell us to bring pillows and blankets, bro.
We slept on the floor.
They slept on
Me
the
and
floor.
Foxy
Me and
and that-
Peebo were down in the bottom cabin. There's about 8 beds in this cabin. We jumped in the same bed next to each other, put our towels that we had as our blankets, and our pillows were our sleeping bags, our clothes and that. And I was like, bruh. And then the next day, some team lost. Mum rang us and was like, oh, the lady said you can have this hotel for $100. We jumped on it straight away. I was like, there's no way I'm sleeping like that every night. No way in the world.
Was that 2015, the year you won it?
Yeah.
The year we won it, bruh.
See,
I was in a warm bed. So
No,
Yeah.
Nah, no
Course he was.
reception. Wait, we already fellas, bro. Like, Krill,
That's out of the middle of nowhere.
Krill Phillips, biggest, wettest fella. The only reception at the place was this car park that was like 500-metre walk with no lights, bro, all the way up. And you see about 20 black fellas all walking together. made the phone calls, bro. We all walked back together. And I was like, we all wedding fellas, you know?
Talking about that knockout, Foxy wasn't even going to play that knockout.
Yeah, we got
And
lucky with him.
I was pressuring him like till about 9 o'clock the night before, you know, and then we ended up getting up to the Sport and Rec Centre. It was about 3 in the morning. We had to wake up. I think it was what 6:30. So we only had 3.5 hours sleep or something. Like I remember sleeping on the floor and doing all that and like doing it the hard way, you know, and it just showed like that. I don't know, we're ready for whatever, you know. Like doesn't matter. We don't need to be sleeping in cozy little beds and all that. Like we're going up here to play footy and win knockouts.
Bro,
That's what we want to do.
I remember someone gave Foxy size 12 boots. But he's size 10 and a half. No, he didn't then have, they were like, and our metal
What,
studs,
that
bro,
year?
big metal studs.
We had some funny things happen to us out there, because we, like, as we said, we trained that hard and we were well prepped. We had our team picked before we went, and we had Dylan Grant playing with us, and Shane Phillips. I rang Shane on the way out there, and I said, "Is Dylan Grant on the bus? He's there waiting for the bus. He was waiting that morning." And Shane said, yeah, he's with us. He's with us, bro. He's going out here. And then I rang him later that afternoon and said, "Oh, bro, you sorted all the rooms?" He goes, "Yeah, I've got Dylan in the room and all this." So I thought he was there. And what happened was we get to training and we're looking at the team and I'm going, where's all the team? And I said to Shane, "Where's Dylan?" He goes, "Well, bro, he wasn't. I said, "You told me that he was." So that's when we started hitting the Fox up to play. And so Fox, we convinced him because we had a spot now to put Fox in. And it was the last second that we got him to play. He was going to West Tigers, eh?
Yeah,
He wasn't
worried
going to
about
play.
Tigers.
He was
He
worried
didn't
about that.
wanna
He
play.
wasn't going to play.
Right.
So we
I didn't
convinced
entice
him.
him.
Even the twins.
And then the Ronnie Prince thing happened, so that allowed Reece Robinson to play where Ronnie went and watched Mungandai and never came back. And we looking around and we had a spot left, so I was like, "Reece, you're going to have to," because Reece didn't want to play at all. Even when the knockout played, Reece signed and sat there and he didn't want to go on the field. He
didn't
playing
play.
at Canberra and he only played on the first game he played
The last
was
game
on the semi.
against Moree.
So he was
Come out
fresh.
fresh.
When we versed Moree.
Yeah, when he versed Moree, he started
That was a
playing.
hard game. Everyone don't. No one talks about that.
Yeah.
We
Moree
versed
game.
Brent and Cochrane, Brad Ty and all that on the. Like, we
They gave it
played,
to us.
and then half hour later we warmed up to go on to the next game against OBU, and we only beat them 18-6 or something.
That was a
like
tough game, good tough game. They were in
Matty
front.
Marshall and all that. Like that, a mad side, bro.
They come out.
Matty Marshall, good footballer.
They come out running
good
full
There was a lot of
running.
tension. There was a lot of tension, even on the bench. And arguments and stuff.
Just trying to fight the whole Moree bench.
Yeah.
I was having arguments with everyone because they were whinging about high tackles. I'm thinking, look at you do it all the time. Yeah, he's going to whinge. Just get on with it, you know. And
Good old
then we
fiery
started
game.
having arguments and that, and then I ended up going out on the field straight after. I thought, oh, here we go. I'm running straight at these fellas, you know, and I thought I was going to get my head taken off, and they didn't do nothing. All good.
Got it.
I'm sweet.
But I remember, I think I kicked the goal from the sideline, but they were giving it to me. And that put us 18-6. And some lady was going off at me going, you cheating Jesus or something like that. I said, have a fun trip back to Moree. Like, I'm cheating for it, bro. And then I go to Moree the next year, bro. All them fellas are in the pub there, and they're all staring at me, and I could hear them saying, that's that cheeky fella, right? Mandara come put his arm around me, and like, I love him, my brother. And I was like, yeah. I was thinking, bro, I'm about to get mobbed here.
Don't stir that crowd up, I tell you that.
They're passionate crowd.
Yeah.
But yeah, because we did have a good draw, but then it got tough really quickly
Yeah.
in the end of the
he's had a
Sunday.
great draw.
Moree straight to Yows. Yeah, he's looked after us. He's ran that knockout, Georgie.
Yeah.
Who'd you just say?
We done ourselves. We were gone
Griffith,
first round.
First round.
Yeah,
First
I remember
round.
that.
Oh, yeah,
That was a fiery one.
Yeah. It was
That was,
good.
I remember that one. Because I was up on the hill.
that was dog shots galore, eh?
It kicked off before kickoff.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
It
was
did
it
too in the,
before
in the sideline.
Yeah.
In the shadow, walking out.
No, when we were walking out, because we tossed a coin or whatever and we had to swap ends. And as we were going past, that's when it kicked off.
You didn't kick it off, did you?
Nah, but I didn't back down.
He
either.
wasn't far from it. They were fiery games,
were
Griffith
fiery
and Walgett. You're talking about first round games and the Sydney All Blacks and Walgett, and that Walgett Griffith first round games. Was it 2 years? You played them first round?
Yeah.
They were two of the
First, yeah,
five
that
That's
was
big,
2011 they got us, yeah.
big games, and it shows you the first round games, the fire and the passion that comes in it, because like you said, everyone's fresh and they've been waiting 12 months and they come out and they've always been fiery ones, big games and big crowds too. The crowds love it.
But you made a good point before about being able to control that. That's the difference between getting through and getting a win, and that's when we've done best is when we've been able to control our aggression and get through them games.
He's done that against us with Burke when we played with Burke.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yous went the wrong way, eh?
We come out too for fiery, you know what I mean?
I think if Peebo didn't play, it was bad. It wouldn't have been as.
Peebo was great for it. And I'm glad that he finally did play with us too.
We wanted to kill him.
Nah.
He was
don't
running
like
straight
that.
at me and ran another way.
Yeah, he knew. He
Peebo.
saw that. See what I
Peebo.
said? He saw that arm cock. He knew.
Peebo, one of the smart fellas, when you seen Josh come flying out, you just say,
Tell us about Burke, playing with Burke. Was some of the key players there, and what are they like as a team? I only see them from the outside.
They were very good. They brought us in. Like I look at them like family now, you know what I mean? Like the way they brought us in and made us feel very welcome. It was actually a very good experience playing for Burke. Some of the good players that I played with there, you know, like the Pele brothers, Follow Bill. Shout out to Follow Bill, rest in peace. He was a beast. Aka is one of my favourite players.
Size,
Play
bro.
with,
He
you know,
jams
someone so
follows,
little.
bro.
He's a very good footballer.
Like he's not that little, but like you know what I mean. For someone of his size, mate, he puts his body on the line and he whacks. You know, like he's one of the good ones. There's a fair few good fellas. You know what I mean. I can't mention them.
I think Burke would win a knockout if they just keep the same team for a couple of years.
Yeah.
There's always chop and change, and if they get a couple of fellas back,
There's a few there that are always there, but if that nucleus was a little bit bigger, eh?
Yeah, Marky Knight knows how to run his team. Like, and he makes, like Josh said, they're like family. Like they brought us in, treated our whole families like family, like. And it just made, bro, I felt like I was from Burke straight out. Like that's how much they made it. Won't go into what I was walking past the Walgett bench.
Silly.
Someone was saying to me, they're going, I was saying something, and I said, I'd love for 5 years to name a street in Walgett. Then Peebo's behind him going, he's going, name a street in Burke, and I didn't even know a street in Burke.
Cheeky, eh? That's good of Peebo.
That you can chip. You couldn't chip anyone for that time.
And good of Peebo to be that quick. I've never known him to be that quick.
I had to go to Burke last year just to find out the street.
It's hot out there. It's hot out there.
I made a break out there and I lost my oxygen.
Was that at the Hot Nines?
Yeah. Now I know why they call it the Hot Nines, bro. Like, I was telling Sean Stanley, get me off this field, bro. Is that all?
But you played out because you come out to Walgett too. The Walgett knockout 1 year, eh?
Yeah. Oh, Gingy Mission I played for. Gingy.
Yeah, you were a pup then too.
17. That was you didn't even want to run the ball. The biggest potholes in the ground. You're too scared to get injured.
What would that be the biggest final for Walgett? Playing Burke? Who's the big rivalry out there for Wack?
Oh,
I know
everyone's
everyone's lining up.
It's funny because we got family in Burke as well too. But it'd be very far. I mean, that game. That's the first time we've sort of played them in recent years, and that was a fiery game. That was a massive game. I didn't want to run on the field because I broke my rib in the first game. Little Paul Roberts come flying out of the line and got me.
Yeah.
He broke my rib. The first run that I had in the knockout down at Nowra, I didn't tell no one all weekend. I was still pretending that I was saving myself.
Looking for it, yeah.
But I ran out there and I actually ran a Follow Bill 3 times in a row. Remember he got penalised and I had to run it again and he kept whacking me there and it was hurting. I was groaning and trying to get up, trying to pretend it wasn't hurt. But that game was a very fiery game. There was some of the best tries that we saw all weekend were scored in that game and also some of the biggest hits. It was
The thing I loved about the game was everyone was in it. Like, no one was backing out from that.
Nah.
Like, everyone was putting their hand up to run the ball. Like,
Everyone wanted it. Everyone wanted it.
as soon as I got on the field, I remember Latrell flying out of line trying to whack me.
Trell loved that weekend, and I'm glad that he ended up having a run because he'd had a shit year. Like that was one of them years where they fucking hammered him all year long. He was coming down. He was going to run the water for us. Ended up getting the itch and chucked the boots on, and I'm glad he did because
Fell in love with his footy again.
Played great, loved his footy. Went and played for Australia and killed him just after that too. So it was a cool year, but that Burke side, that was a very, very good side. And I reckon that you probably would have won that grand final had you gone through because our grand final was probably our worst performance of the
and you're
weekend.
You're depleted by it.
But it's always shown the team that plays footy wins. Like,
Yeah.
coming back to that NAB grand final, they were trying to kill Fox. And
Yeah.
they were so worried of trying to kill the players, they forgot that they're actually trying to win a knockout, to be honest.
What's we talk about the rivalry there, Burke and Wild. What about Sydney and Redfern's rivalry? I know the Laperouse rivalries there, always one there, but that's a special rivalry for anyone from Redfern, no matter if they're playing for Waterloo or Sydney All Blacks. They always got that one eye on Lapa, haven't they?
Bro, I've played with Lapa under 17s, bro.
He's played for Lapa.
Sheriff didn't talk to me
Fox
for 2
has played
years.
for Lapa.
That's how big that rivalry is. Sheriff
I'm the only one.
walked past me
I'm the only one out of the boys that hasn't played for Lapa.
Stayed solid.
Yeah, I
But,
stayed
bro,
solid.
like that's I look at it as one of the biggest rivalries. Like Lapa could have a shit side, they'll turn up against us. If we have a shit side, we'll turn up. It's always close games. Like that knockout, we beat them 10-6.
Yeah. They were in it for the
And
long
they had a
time.
mad side that year too. Like they were all fit and ready, and it just showed like the outcome in that game.
They'd have got off to a quick start, and we had to pick up the piece. Like, you know what I mean? We had to fight for that win, which was good. It was a big against them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It couldn't be anyone better. You know. But there's been a rivalry ever since I was a kid with Lapa, like since I was like under 13s.
I never watched a game when
used to
Josh
play
and that
Jimmy.
versus Lapa where there wasn't an all-in brawl. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, me and Jimmy the Jet were talking about that the other day. He used to hate versus Redfern because he used to never want to get into the fights. And then because Jimmy was so much better than everyone at that age, like
he's a freak.
everyone tried to kill him.
Yeah.
I
He was a
remember,
freak
I
back
remember
then.
Jordan Morris that said wanted to kill him, and that's his cousin. Like, well,
I remember I got an intercept, and I was pretty quick back in the day. I was pretty quick. I got an intercept off the line from dummy half. I seen it, they threw it, and I've grabbed it and I'm off. Tyrone Phillips trying to chase me. He's not catching me. He's nowhere near me. I'm gone. I didn't see on this side. Jimmy the Jet, straight in front of me. He was a different level of speed, that fella.
He's fast.
Who's faster out of him and the Fox? But you two would know.
Back in the day, look,
17-year-old Jimmy
I'm not
the Jet.
even
I
gonna
love. I'll say it, but no one touches 17-year-old Jimmy the Jet. Before everything else,
he said it.
no one touches him. Kieran Munn wouldn't even touch him.
So he's the fastest you
I'm
see.
telling you, bro.
He was quick.
The Jet.
When
he
that
was-
day that Josh was
yeah.
talking about, Josh could run 11 seconds in 100
I was pretty
meters.
quick back then.
And Jimmy come out of nowhere, bro, and just tracked him
In
like it
front
was
of me,
easy.
not from behind. He was in front of me.
Cole
I couldn't- I was looking this way and then
Dunga
boom,
was
he's
quick
there,
back in the day,
Yeah.
and James would just make it look easy.
Let's go around him. So he's faster than the Fox.
There's actually a fella that, I don't know if you know, Kingsley Dennison.
He was
Yeah,
quick.
remember him? He actually was the only person to beat James Roberts' record at Endeavour. And that was like 10-something. 10-3, I think it was, in 100 metres.
He was
He's got
quick.
the record out there.
That quick.
I'm telling you, before he started smoking cigarettes and that, before he started smoking cigarettes and that, bro, I'm telling you, he was quick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love
He's
it.
quick to jet.
he was so fast.
What Tamworth knockout obviously is going to be testing. What are you looking forward to up there? Who's the sides you reckon that are going to be danger sides up there? The sides you're tipping to win it.
There's always like,
Tipping us to win it.
He always starts with
Hey,
himself.
he loves it.
I'm going to put it out there. I'm confident we're going to win it this year, and
but
you
there's
know,
always,
like Wax always going to be tough. War will be tough. You know, Yowies. I just coming closer to it. You see who's got who, and you know you start hearing the yarns and that. But just mainly all the bigger sides. You know what I mean? Tweed, if they can find a few things, like they might be up there, but. Burke as well. Burke will be tough.
I'm hearing Lapa's
Lapa, I
stacking
heard
their
Lapa
side,
stacking their side for everyone listening.
which is very motivational for us.
Yeah, just a lot of the main sides, I think. I don't really. I'm not on social media, so I don't really hear much about who's where, here or there. You know what I mean? So
Who impressed you last year at last year's knockout? Because
whack.
obviously you sat there and watched.
Whack.
What was it about it?
They had the hard draw and they got
Nope.
beat. They got for everyone.
That wasn't the most stacked wax side I've seen, but that was the fittest. And what they done was like they proved that you don't have to have the most stacked side to win this knockout. You can go through the hard draws with it. Just if you
They lost what Zach Sadler was one of their main front rowers. They lost a few key players at
Jackie,
Byra.
Tassie.
Jack
Yeah,
White.
Jackie Wharton, Tass.
I think
So
everyone-
what's the secret, George?
Mate,
Can you tell us all?
I think I know what the secret was. Everyone was worried about Benny Barber and forgot about Latrell. Seagull. They
Trello had a great.
like everyone will say, I'd listen to teams talk about Benny. Oh, we've got Benny there. And I was thinking, boys, Latrell's just as dangerous, probably more dangerous at the moment.
There wasn't many moments, Giorgio, out there when you look like you might be beaten. I think through every game, it looked like you were in control of every game. And the thing I noticed, the thing I admired and probably respected most out of the win was when every game was at its toughest, that's when you played your best football. And I think it's a good call out there for all other teams about, it wasn't names that did it. It was hard work. It was, discipline. It was toughness at the right time, smart football. Like it looked flawless from a commentary point of view. It looked like, they're getting challenged here. They're slowly getting on top, but it didn't ever feel like any team really ever got on top of yours.
Yeah.
And that's no matter who was on the field at different times.
And I think that's probably one thing that I will say from last year is that everybody played their best knockout and everybody did their job. They didn't that nobody tried to overdo anything. We didn't have our halves desperately trying to do something to win a game. Everybody was doing their job, and even I don't know, it was at the War game. I think Grant Walford scored a fantastic try to get the win for us, and he's someone that you probably wouldn't have said he's the one that you're going to be watching to win the game. But he put his hand up and done it.
The winger?
The
winger?
plays like centre, back row.
Got the long beard, eh?
Yeah. But like people stood up when they were called on, and I think that was the difference. And I don't think we looked ahead on what we were doing. Like in our heads, we thought we were probably going to get knocked out early. Really, we did have a tough draw. I saw Boomies, and I thought Boomies were going to win it, and then we just sort of kept getting through each game. And so I think not looking ahead, preparing for each game, and everybody doing their job. We got there in the end.
Everyone gives raps to your backs, but I reckon your forwards stepped up.
Yeah.
Massively. Like every game I watched, it was your forward pack getting the better of their forward pack. Like Morey had an intimidating forward pack, but your forward pack stood up to him, and it didn't. And then because you just dominated their forward pack, their halves and backs couldn't come into the game as what they should have come.
Yeah, and that is a hard one in footy. I think that I reckon in knockout footy there's an exception. Usually in footy you've got to have your forwards going forward to be able to bring your backs into the game. I think in knockout footy it's different because we've got so many talented backs. They can change a game. A chip out of your own half can change a game completely, and you can rely on your backs to be able to do it because blackfellas have got a different style of footy, a different attacking flair that can change a game against a team that's well structured, against a team that's grinding out a game. You are able to do that, but I don't think that we tap into that enough. And I think for a lot of these smaller teams that feel like they're up against it, that they feel like they're up against a stacked team, when you're looking at a stacked team, the way that you beat them, you don't beat them trying to play their footy. If they're great through the middle, if they've got big, strong forwards, you're not going to beat them through there. You're not going to beat them by defending harder than them. You're going to beat them by playing footy that they're not playing.
Well, look at how Warriors used to do against Melbourne.
Exactly.
Throw the ball around. Throw the ball around, and they used to come out and beat them, and you'd never see it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just stuff like that. Don't play their style of footy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you don't got the forwards to match them, why are you going to try and beat them through the middle? You know what I mean? You're not going to beat them through the middle.
Nah. You got to play
playing a bit
Tumala
of
footy.
footy.
You got to play Tweed Connections footy. You've got to stick to your game if you want to beat these teams
Keep
that
the
are as
ball in
fit.
motion.
Keep the ball in motion. There it is. Eh?
Who's the
He's
young
back.
players you're looking forward to watching at Tamworth?
Logan's up there.
Logan Aldridge.
Logan Aldridge. Gage Phillips.
Yep.
That
Amaziah.
him as I, the Murga boys there.
I didn't really get to see him. I've only heard about him, so I'm interested to see him.
They from Walgett, yeah.
I don't know. I don't really look too much into it, really.
Yeah,
like,
just
you know what I mean? I
concentrate on
just try to concentrate on myself and get myself at my best. Just I don't know. Just some fellas that are going to go out and have a go, really. You know
Yeah.
what I mean, not be intimidated by all these big sides.
You're talking about that, Josh. Who's someone that you're going after, but they've won your respect because they stood up and challenged you back? Who's a player that you're probably going to say no one here, that competitive, but who's someone that's won your respect? Who's the second player that you...
I don't know. You know what? Who's all Bennett Leslie? Me and him always.
He's tough.
You know, he's tough. He always runs it hard. You know, even see when I hit him that game, he fucking I had a jolt through my shoulder. Like he runs hard, that fella. You know, he never backs down. I don't know, really.
I reckon that's one way that someone really earns your respect, when you absolutely whack them, when you jam them, and they get up and they go again.
Yeah.
You earn your respect that way.
That's what everyone tries to do to me. You know what I mean? I get to laugh at them. You know, half of the time I'm jammed, but they don't know that.
Just smile and keep
on.
going.
Yeah. What about you, Shane? Who's some players that have won your respect playing against them over years?
Richie Roberts will be up there. Like, he's not massive, but he'll go all day. And
Good all around. Yeah.
when Josh hit him around the head, he put his hand up to take the first run for him after that penalty. And like players like that, like
A lot of players that can give it and take it, you know what I mean, and not whinge about it. That's when you gain my respect. I'll go out there, I'll hit fellas around the head, this and that, you know what I mean? I've done it, but I can cop it too, you know what I mean? I'm not going to skid up and try and fight you about it. I'm just going to say, sweet, that's the way it is. Let's keep going. See who's going to come out on top.
I haven't versed this lad, but Chris Piper.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he goes all day in that middle for a nab. Like,
He played for us with
he's
that
massive.
Yeah.
Like,
in the day.
he'll get whacked and he'll take the next run and run straight at that fellow who just whacked him. Like, he's a very tough fellow, that lad.
He's certainly come in as one of my favourite players, watching knockout in the front row. Like, I love the forwards, and he's certainly up there. He doesn't take a backward step, does he? And he just goes all weekend.
I forgot to mention someone. Big Dino. When I played against Dino, he'll just keep going at me and going at me.
He talks a bit too, eh?
Oh, no, I don't, George. I'm a gentleman out there.
Nah, it's subtle the way he talks.
I can't say some stuff he says to me out there.
Gentleman, boys, I don't belittle. I don't get into no one's head. I don't try and challenge anyone.
Trent's up there.
Yeah.
He's a little niggler.
Trenny's tough.
Oh,
He's a nigger.
when we played 2019,
We used to look like triplets when Trenny's sitting there with you.
Bro, someone walked up to me and thought I was Trent Rose, bro.
They did actually.
Remember?
Yeah.
Where was it at?
Was it
Bro,
that
I was
day?
laughing. I was like, no, I'm Shane. He was like, oh, you look like Trent Rose. I was like, yeah, a lot of people have said that, but
He's actually good.
that 2019 game versus Waterloo, that was a mad game.
Yeah.
When Kieran scored that try.
Well,
in the
we
corner.
proved that it shouldn't have been a try.
Nah,
Lukey hit the slow-mo.
The slow-mo, bro, you see his hands up a bit.
His hands down.
We didn't go into that side too, because that Waterloo side, I watched on that going into that last day. I thought you were probably going to win that one.
You should
He's
have.
had a good side. Joshy Kerr was in that team, and
It was fitness.
Fitness.
Our fitness, like a lot. I was 116 kilos at that knockout.
so you weren't at your
Like,
best.
you know what I mean? Like,
I was 115 playing 5'8".
like if you look at me in
Mum,
that,
your
I
eyes
look
are
like
in
a
the
tall
26.
man.
I wanted to play front. I thought I was going to that knockout playing front row, and then
So the preparation-
Rocket was like, "Wow, we need number 6." But
Yeah.
even that Sunday, we versed War when they first started, which they were actually decent side,
Farron and that were playing, eh?
and then we versed you fellas, and then we versed
And then versus
Nanema.
Nanema straight after using versus Nanema.
And then the next morning we come up against Griffith, and they just
And we
That
only
was
just
good
beat
side.
Nanema. We only just beat Nanema.
Joshy Kerr
on
just
the wing
subbed
in the
in
corner.
and scored in.
Just
the corner.
come on, just got subbed on and then scored in the corner.
He told about that. He told me about that actually, and
But like, yeah, it was. I thought we were gonna win it once we beat Whack, and then I think that's where a lot of us went wrong. We thought we had it.
Yeah, thinking too far ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's easy to get complacent when you're feeling good though.
well, back in the days, George, like when we first started, if you did beat a Whack or a Yowies, you nearly could start thinking we're going to win this thing. But it's the draw's too hard. There's too many good teams now, and I like what you said about you just took one game at a time.
Yeah.
because the draws are so hard.
They're hard.
You can't think ahead, and you can't get too carried away.
And you never see enough about your opposition when you come up against them.
You just don't know what their energy's going to be like, what's coming.
Robbie John come up to Joshy and said he wished they didn't verse us in that semi because a lot of his
Knocked
players,
the snot out of them.
couldn't
was a
even
tough
walk
game.
off the field.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, they were flat. They were flat, weren't they, in the
bashed
grand
each other.
final?
And then it showed in the grand final where South Coast
they
just
blew them away.
blew them away. And
Yeah,
like that's the side we had forward. It was mad.
yeah. Oh,
That was the first time I've
One that
you've
got
probably
away, eh?
seen sort of Lapa, Redfern, Waterloo come together.
100%.
We always just adored in the juniors. That's why we always won the juniors. But
always
the
that
egos
rivalry,
just
like
come
that.
there and they want us to play for Lapa. We want them to play for Redfern. But then there's never that rivalry if we all join. So
but you're locked in for this year,
Locked in, 100%.
Sydney All Blacks.
Sydney All
if
Blacks.
there's no injuries, yeah.
Unless Dino twists your arm between now and
I'll
then.
be twisting, bro. I'll be like this all year. But they know I
playing
support them
Redfern
no matter who
through the
they
year,
play
yeah.
with.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what I want to do. I don't know.
You might be
He's
back
on
in
no
Thailand.
he's on no limit.
He's
Josh
got
is
to
on
talk
no
about
limit.
his kickboxing, and I think this is a big inspiration, right? Now, Joshy, I always know when Joshy's at his happiest is when he's training and he's active and he's focused on something. And you tell about it, bro. You went to Thailand last year.
Thailand, yes. I went there in November, got back
What were your
Probably a
state?
month
What was
ago.
the state were you in when you went to Thailand? Well,
unfit, just head noise and stuff, and then I went over there. Once I'm over there, it's just different, like my mindset was just, I was waking up, doing my runs, training 2-3 times a day, eating clean, like it's just a clean lifestyle, and I needed that, like usually I'd go for a month and it just didn't feel like it's enough, so I was
Yeah.
like, I'm going to go for 3 months. Went over, had a fight. At the end of it, I won it. And then I just come back, like I just feel just like myself again back, 10 years. I feel like I went round the clock back 10 years, you know what I mean?
You look good.
I feel it, and that's the best thing, like I feel good. Usually the last few knockouts I've gone in underprepared, thinking, I can get through with this and that, but Wax just kind of like, like made me want to train hard, seeing teams like that go, like you gave me that motivation to get up and just say, I'm gonna go over here. I enjoy playing footy. I enjoy, me boxing, me kickboxing. Probably enjoy that more, to be honest. But I play footy during the year just to play knockout. Literally, I don't like the comps at South and that don't mean nothing to me.
Josh
Those
ain't-
ones in the ones in the knockout are the ones that matter, and I feel like I'm in a good place now, and good luck to everyone else coming up against me.
Yeah, right. You ask anyone, Joshy talks about the knockout. They don't even talk about the comp. Like the comp's nothing to Joshy. Like he just plays it like he said. But going back to what he said about Whack motivating him, like I heard like teams are like saying they want to go and start their own knockout because they're over all this like stuff. Bro, it made me go and change my whole lifestyle. Like eating cleaner, training twice a day, to actually want to come up and verse. Like, I don't want to say I won a knockout and didn't beat the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
It's another
didn't,
thing I think.
or went to a different knockout and won the other knockout because they want to split a knockout. Like,
Yeah.
everyone should just go and make that your club's thing. Like I said, I didn't tell all the boys, we're doing fitness tests 6 weeks out, and if you ain't at that level, go find another side. Like,
Speaking on like people like coming into the knockout prepared and that, like I see a lot of teams, like from out, country, they don't have this and that. They've all got legs and that. They've all got, they can all do push-ups. They can all go and get themselves into the best shapes of their lives. They don't do it and they go there and they whinge. The teams that win it are the ones that go out there and give it their all and, you know what I mean, bring themselves to be prepared to win it. A lot of these other sides are, and it's annoying, like to the ones that actually go out there and put the hard yards in, and you got these other fellas that whinge about, they've got this fella, that fella, mate. I couldn't care who's on the other side. You know what I mean? We're going out there as long as we know that we're prepared right. We believe we can beat anyone, And I just want all these other country sides, these younger, like not these younger, but like all these, little country teams that, feel like, like they can't get there. It's all in your head. It's all in your head. You just want to win it. You just go and put the hard yards in and you just go win it.
Burke's a prime example. like Tooley and that take them all under their wing and make them train, change their lifestyle. And a lot of these fellas wouldn't even know what training is. Like, they don't look at going to the gym. But Tooley changed that lifestyle at Burke. Like, without like Pello and all that. But like, and that's coming out to the knockout, showing that training and lifestyle can get you to that Monday.
It's only going to strengthen the knockout.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Instead of 10 sides, you know what I mean, that everyone kind of really, you know what I mean, 10, 20, 50, whatever it is, should be talking about every side. Every side should be tough, you know what I mean? Like, it just takes it away, like you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people, they sit there and they come to the meetings, I've seen it, and they come and they whinge about this and they whinge about that, instead of just focusing on their team and getting their team to the best of what they can be and go out there and actually compete to win the knockout, and then they can dictate what they want to do.
Well, I think it's important that rather than lower the bar, we keep raising it and
That's right.
keep setting the standard to
And
chase
use a
to.
broad-
And
The other thing that, and he touched on there, is the mental health aspect of it
Absolutely.
all, right? Of coming together as a community, of training hard, setting standards amongst each other. I know I talked to Joshy a lot when he was away in Thailand. He sent me a little message here and always accompanied by a video or photo of him in front of something. But I just checking in with him, see how he's going. He was just happier. And he felt better, and he was more positive in stuff, and he's rubbed off on people. I know Shane was getting inspired by what he was doing. A lot of boys in Redfern, and that's
I was loving seeing it.
100%, and that's what we need more of.
boys.
Don't knock a brother from doing good. You know, and I know this fellow. He's passionate about the boxing and that. He's here in the No Limit world here right now. That's doing everything for boxing and leading the way there. And it could be a chance for you, brother. You're never too
100%.
old, and you're never too old to do it. And I was glad to see him chasing his dreams, and that's what a lot of our mob out there got to do. Work hard, chase your dreams, be disciplined, sacrifice.
Don't
Get
be
yourself
afraid of
right.
failure.
Yeah.
Don't be
Yeah.
afraid of failing. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't chase their dreams because they're afraid of failing. They're afraid of, oh, this and that. Block all that noise out. Block it all out. I could have went over there, got knocked out, this and that. Wouldn't have changed. I'm going to keep going until I get to where I want to be. You know what I mean? It's just mentality. A lot of young fellas, and like I've had a lot of young cousins. You know, they get their chance at 20s and this and that, and they can't. Like, oh, they get homesick and this. Mate, I was over in another country where they don't even speak English enough, and you know what I mean, by myself, training. You know what I mean? Fighting over there. Anything could happen to me. You know, and I feel like all these kids take them opportunities. You know what I mean? A lot of us, like me. The reason I really got over footy was I never made no reps and that. I played with blacks, you know what I mean, my whole life. I played with blacks. We never used to get picked. We were in the grand finals, winning grand finals, and nothing. No one ever used to get picked, you know, and that just put a chip on my shoulder. So now when I verse all them fellas, it's like, I'm going to show you now, you know, like why you shouldn't have been picked over me, you know, and that's, yeah, just, I don't know. Just got to like it.
I reckon it's a really cool story, and I like that you have put the challenge out there to other teams. We're 6 to 7 months out from the knockout now. 6 months out from the knockout. There's no time like right now to start training and start preparing. It's up to them leaders in each community to put your hand up. Be a leader in your team, put your hand up, get the boys training. That's what's happening here, and that's what's going to build off the back of it leading into the knockout for these fellas. So,
And that's how SAB's going to win the knockout this year.
And they want Walgett first, so he'll be there running the ball up against them.
yeah, absolutely.
He's already
Mate,
locked in.
Absolutely. I look
Just
forward to
put
it.
black markers on the back of those balls, bro. So when you pull them out,
They won the first game, jeez. Jeez, that's brave.
It would be exciting. I'm excited for the draw. I'm excited for the knockout, and I am keen to see how you fellas go, especially with all the talk leading up to it now. Good to see you both fit and on track. And I know there's still 6 months out, so who knows how good you're going to be looking come kickoff.
I'll be playing fullback then.
No, we appreciate you coming in, joining us on the podcast. It's been a good yarn, and no doubt we'll do it again soon. Thanks for joining us on the Koori Knockout podcast.